Hello and welcome back to Gilly Sports. Today, we need to talk about Michael Van Gerwen because there's something going on with him, and I think it's something we need to be worried about. For fans of Michael Van Gerwen, should be worried. For the people who don't like him, then this is also the video for you because this is something you might enjoy. But I think this is mainly going to be quite big and sad to talk about today. Um, First of all, I do want to just kick off by saying I think I've been meaning to do this video for a little while. I also want to apologise that this is the first time I've not talked about football for a little while. I just haven't thought of videos to post, but this is one of the first of my first big video idea. I'm going to start writing them down soon. So hopefully in the next few weeks there'll be a lot more videos about a lot of different things. So watch this space for that. But let's jump into today's topic, which is what is going on with Michael Van Gerwen. So to put it into context, for anyone who doesn't understand how great Michael Van Gerwen was, between about his first World Championship final in 2013, when he lost to Phil Taylor, and up until 2023, where he reached the World Championship final, lost out to Michael Smith, and then won the Premier League and a few other majors that year, he was unbeatable. You look at Littler now and think, no one looks like he can beat him. That's what it was with Michael Van Gerwen for 10 whole years. He dominated pretty much the mid to late 2010s and early 2020s. He, despite only winning 3 world championships, he's still won about, I think it's something like 40 majors in his career. Multiple World Match Plays, multiple Grand Slams, Grand Prix, you name it, he's won it. He's won every major there is to offer. And honestly, there was that period where it looked like he was unbeatable. Him at the World Cup, particularly, he played alongside Rayan van Barneveld, and the pair of them were unbeatable. That era between where they had him, Rayan van Barneveld, and then England had Lewis and Taylor. It was, I think, one of the best periods for darts, dominatively. Two gigantic players, and I think that final in 2013 just shows the era between the old and the new. Michael Van Gerwen pretty sure he pushed Phil Taylor right to the end, but Phil Taylor managed to edge him out and win the World Championship in 2013. Taylor's last World Championship of his career. He never played Taylor in another World Championship final. Since then he's reached 4 finals. 2014, the following year, he won his first World Championship, beating Peter Wright, an early Peter Wright at the time. 2017 was his second World Championship, where he beat Gary Anderson, who was in his third consecutive World Championship final, had won the last 2. So without a doubt, was the heavy favourite. But Van Gerwen absolutely destroyed him and beat him in 2017. You had the final in 2019 where he beats. Hang on, who did he beat? He beat Michael Smith. Michael Smith, you remember getting very angry about that final. The same in 2022. Another player to talk about. We'll talk about him at the end. Michael Van Gerwen beat him. I think it was quite a big victory for him, and claiming what was then his third World Championship final. He's done 3 World Championships since then. He's reached 2, losing both in 2023 and 2025 to Littler and Michael Smith. But now, because of that, he's suddenly looking like he's going to fall down the world rankings. Currently, he's projected to be as low as 20th in the world rankings. Not only does that put him outside the top 16, so removes his chance of automatically qualifying for major competitions, but it just means significant things. It means he's highly unlikely to be in the Darts Premier League next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if they still bring him in as a wild card, because simply for his walkout, for his he's obviously a notoriously big player at the Premier League, been there for nearly 10 years now, consecutively every year. If I'm correct, he's the only player that's been in the Premier League every year, pretty much since he started playing well. And suddenly, it doesn't look like that anymore. He almost looks a shadow of himself. He has talked at certain times about retiring from darts. I do think that's a good idea, but simply so he can get his edge back. Adrian Lewis did the same thing. He had a bit of a fall off in the last few years of his career. Um, has taken a few years off, and is now currently looking to get back into darts. Not fast, not straight away. He's going to take a bit of a slow um, journey back, but I do think that's a good idea for Michael Van Gerwen. However, I don't. I as much as he's talked about it a couple of times, I don't think he's going to do it. Knowing what Michael Van Gerwen's like, he's not going to give up. He's never been one to give up. He's always believed that he's the very best. It's annoying for most players, but it is true. He's never ever shown a sign of weakness. That's always been his big thing. He's always tried to be the best of the best, which is suddenly coming to show here. He's not very well known as one of the certainly one of the cockiest players on the PDC tour, mainly for his refusal to believe that someone is better than him. I still remember Littler's first final the second final, Littler's first championship when he played Van Gerwen in the final 2025. The pre-match show, and I honestly, this is disgusting. He refused to admit that Littler was better than him. He told him he was lazy. I remember him saying I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said some horrible things, and I think that just proves Van Gerwen's mentality he needs to get back, become a bit more humble, and I think maybe we might be able to start seeing a Van Gerwen that can win things again. That scary, unbeatable Van Gerwen is completely gone at the moment. And this is no critic ties to him at all. I think he's a great player. He's without a doubt has already cemented his legacy. So no matter what he does, he's going to always be remembered as the great mighty Michael Van Gerwen, the one who spent a decade dominating and being completely unbeatable, and a man who, when you beat him, it was the biggest game of your life. You were never going to forget it. You'll forget, like, even you remember last year, he played that Tatsunami. That's a match that he's never going to forget. Even though he got absolutely battered, he played Michael Van Gerwen, and honestly, that's a massive match for him. But I'm telling you now, play current Michael Van Gerwen. He's got a lot more chance in it now than he would have done last year. This last year has been so tough for him. He struggled at the Premier League. He won night one and then didn't win a night for the rest of the tournament. It was the first time he hadn't qualified for the finals in the Premier League for over into about 5 years or so. He failed to reach the quarterfinals for the first time in 10 years at the World Championship last year. The signs are there that he's struggling. I think he needs a bit of time off just to recatch himself, recalibrate, and realise that he's not in the right mentality to go on. I mentioned Adrian Lewis a few minutes ago. The reason he took his time off was for mentality. Michael Van Gerwen, look at certain players like Van Barneveld, who's struggling right now. He's already saying, I think, that he wishes he'd retired a few years ago, simply because he knows that when you're at your best, retire at your peak. The amount of darts, Phil Taylor did that 100%. He easily could have gone on for years more, but he retired because he knew that at some point soon he was going to have a bit of a decline. He decided to retire when he was at his very best. Well, not at his very best, but when he was still good. If Michael Van Gerwen goes on for a few more years, he's going to fall far down the world rankings before you realise it. He's going to regret the fact that he's still playing darts and know that he should have retired when he had the opportunity to. And I think he's good, and I think he deserves a proper good send off to win at least one last world championship before he retires. But I think at this rate, if he keeps playing in the next few years, if he continues to play on the PDC tour constantly for the next few years, that's not going to happen. He needs at least a year's break just to recapture himself, practice, and get his form back, and then he can come back, go through Q School, uh, maybe play on the Windmill Challenge Tour for a few years, just to get his edge back, and then suddenly you'll see he'll be back at the best and suddenly be fighting at the top again. But that's just my opinion. I know that ultimately it's up to him what he does, but in my opinion, I think that's what he should do. I did say a few minutes ago I would talk a little bit about Michael Smith. I don't really know what to say about him. He's a bit different. His situation's ever so slightly different. He built his way up to the top, won the world championship, but there's been a decline ever since because he hasn't won any majors since. There's no really else to talk about very much. Couple news stories to discuss. First of all, Gary Anderson has pulled out of the World Series finals, says he doesn't want to travel. You'll remember about last year he announced he doesn't want to travel in darts. That's why he refuses to play in the Premier League. Luke Littler is suddenly looking like he wants to get back into the Players' Championship final in order to complete his clean sweep of the majors. However, he lost yesterday, so he's going to be a big tough task today. Predictions wise, I'm going to say he doesn't. I don't know why. I just feel like he's come in too late. I probably will be wrong, but I'm going to say he doesn't make it to the finals, and he can't win it. Or if he does make it to the finals, he doesn't win the world finals. That's okay, but that's my prediction. I'll be back end of the week to predict next week's Premier League results, as well as I will also be back talk about darts in a couple of weeks. Well, I say a couple of weeks. I think it's about either September or October. We've got the Grand Prix coming up in darts, so I'm very excited to talk about that. Offer out my predictions, who I think is going to win that. Look at the odds, and long live the darts is what I would say. Yeah, cheerio.